Peace, Love, Liberty Radio version 4.0. Prepare for launch.
OTC is go.
Packetbus is go.
CTC is go.
FPS is go.
Houston flight is go.
Pilot go.
STM is go.
Safety com is go.
STU is go.
LRD is go.
SRO is go. CDR is go. Launch Director, NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time.
99, proceeded, 3, 2, 1, ignition. Right away, Houston.
Consequences so severe, so pull your trigger quickly, dear. Our patriots are acting up, let's punish them with fear. Hey, hey!
Hey, welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. I know, it's been a while. It's been a full week. I did not get a show done on Friday as I was traveling. And actually, in addition to traveling last Friday, I was recording a segment with RT Arabic. So last Wednesday, you may recall, I told you that after I got done uploading the show, I was heading to D.C., and I had the debate on RT, that's Russia Today, and specifically it was on RT America, but I believe it was broadcast to all 700 million households around the world that carry RT, not just the American stations, or rather the American outlet, which has about 10 to 20 million American households that receive that. So on Thursday, had that debate on RT. I will post the link to that full debate in the show notes in case you missed it. And then because I was in D.C. and because I had driven and had more flexibility, one of the producers for RT Arabic invited me to come in the following day, which would have been Friday, and record a segment with RT Arabic. I was told that that aired on Monday. I've not yet been able to find a video of that online, partially because I don't speak Arabic, and I don't really know how to search for it in Arabic. I did find the RT Arabic YouTube channel and attempted to find the video because I knew how long the show was, but it does not appear that it's either online yet, or if it is, I just can't find it. But nonetheless, that's what I did on Friday. Saturday, I was in Michigan at the Michigan Libertarian Party state convention, and Saturday evening I had a nice debate, more a town hall forum style debate with Gary Johnson in Michigan on Saturday, then flew to Boston, drove to Maine, was at the Maine State Convention for probably an hour and a half, gave a speech there, and then drove back to Boston, flew to Las Vegas, and attended the debate hosted by Penn Jillette that I was not invited to participate in, but I did get to introduce myself to Penn and told him that he inspired me to lose about 140 pounds, and he seemed absolutely befuddled and shocked, and he said, 140 pounds? Wow, you've got me beat. So that was very nice getting to meet Penn. Unfortunately, I was not involved in that debate. Although, at the beginning of the event, after the event officially began, and while they were recording, he did acknowledge my presence in the audience, as well as that of Kevin McCormick, who's another presidential candidate who was in attendance. After that debate, I went to the official after party hosted by the Libertarian Party of Nevada, and I got to meet a lot of wonderful people at that event. And so then that was Monday. I flew back on a red-eye, arrived back in New Hampshire about 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and I thought, and this is the way brains work, right? Or maybe it's how they don't work, but I thought that I was done with all of my travels and events until the National Convention begins next Wednesday. And by the way, I'll be traveling next Wednesday, so the Ask Me Anything, I'll actually do that next Tuesday. That way I can release the audio on Wednesday. So if you have questions, send those AMA@fppradio.com. And I will get into the Ask Me Anything here momentarily. But I got an email earlier today reminding me of an event. Luckily, it's not that far from where I live. It's in Manchester, New Hampshire tomorrow, which is just about an hour drives away, where I will actually be meeting with some political leaders from India. There's representatives from a couple different political parties in India that are coming to the United States, and I have the information. I just forget all of the details of exactly who is involved in what, but it's the World Affairs Council of New Hampshire that is organizing the event that I'm being involved with tomorrow, and somehow the Office of International Visitors, Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, which is a division of the U.S. Department of State, is involved. So, you know, like this is like a big deal to where these people, I think they're, you know, some kind of like official state guest sort of thing. And I will be representing the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire at this event tomorrow in Manchester, and we'll be discussing the differences between politics in India, politics in the United States. Specifically, discussion will focus on party structure, funding, and the role of the parties during elections. And we will also discuss the interest and the challenges of being involved in a third party in the United States. So that is tomorrow. And hopefully there winds up being some media coverage of that event. So there's that, and then this Saturday, and this is something I don't have to leave anywhere to go do, this Saturday I'm doing a live Ask Me Anything on Reddit. I will, as always, post links in the show notes for that. I'll be answering questions from 10 in the morning until roughly 10 in the evening, with just a short gap in the middle of the afternoon for a Bitcoin meetup that I'm going to. So, you know, short gap to go have this Bitcoin meetup, come back, finish answering questions. And again, I'll be doing that for roughly 12 hours on Saturday. And then next Wednesday, I head to Orlando for the Libertarian Party National Convention, where I will be a delegate from the state of New Hampshire. I'm also a presidential candidate seeking that nomination. And, you know, maybe there will be pictures, maybe there will be some time where I can do like some live blogging sort of something. I don't know. It will be incredibly busy the entire time I'm in Orlando. Stay tuned. The Ask Me Anything is coming up next.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to bipcot.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com.
Hi, I'm the Rebel Mistress.
And this is Rob Mathias, host of The Rebel Love Show.
And you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
With Darryl W. Perry.
So it's time for me to answer your questions. But first, I've got a question for you. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? If so, then you need Spend-A-Bit in your arsenal. Spend-A-Bit is the search engine for things you can buy, you guessed it, with Bitcoin. Spend-A-Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants, including Overstock.com and Free Press publications. Keep your money in the free economy. Spend-A-Bit. Use my affiliate link, spendabit.fppradio.com. And if you're a Bitcoin accepting if you're a Bitcoin accepting merchant. Ask about their merchant suite to reach even more customers. That's spendabit.fppradio.com. That's spendabit, all one word, spendabit.fppradio.com. So, now into the Ask Me Anything. I've got 2 questions, one of them fairly short and simple to answer, or at least I think it'll be fairly simple to answer. The other one is a slightly longer question, only because they're asking me to rebut an article. So, first question. Darryl, you're running for president, but you want to abolish the federal government. How does that work? Well, it's quite simple. And it's a fairly libertarian thing to do, and I am not the first person to ever run for a political office with the intent to abolish that office. And, point of fact, this is not the first time I've ever run for a political office saying, if elected, I will do everything I can to abolish the office. 4 years ago, I ran for Register of Deeds in Cheshire County, New Hampshire, on the platform of, if elected, I will do everything I can to abolish the position. I wound up getting 5.5% of the vote in that race and achieved one of my goals, which was to remove the 19-term incumbent from office. So, specifics on this. How does it work of running for president on a platform of abolishing the federal government? Well, quite simply, the reason that I'm running with the message that I'm running with is because I want to start a conversation. I want there to be a national dialogue about whether or not we actually need the United States federal government, the world's largest terrorist organization. Do we need it? I say no. And now it should spark a secondary question of how local of a government should there be? Do we even need government? Should people be allowed to decide for themselves if and or how they are governed? And I say, yes, people should be allowed to decide for themselves if and or how they are governed. And I think that governments should not be tied to geography. So the reason I'm running is to spread a message of liberty, that you own yourself, that you have as many rights as every other human being anywhere on this globe. It doesn't matter where you were born. You have the same rights as everybody else, and that is that you have the right to do with your body as you see fit, as long as you do not cause unjust harm to another person. You don't have the right to take things from people. You don't have the right to force people to do things that you think they should do. And no one has the right to take your stuff or force you to do things that they think you should do. That includes groups, because no person can delegate a right that they don't have to another person or to a group. Doesn't matter if that group calls themselves government, you still cannot delegate a right that you don't have to a government. Meaning you can't go to the government and say, make Darryl do stuff that I want. Nope, you do not have that legitimate right. And that is what I'm running on. That's what I'm promoting. So everything else, it's all about starting the discussion. As Ernest Hancock says, freedom's the answer. What's the question? Speaking of what's the question, well, that brings me to question number 2. The question, fairly lengthy, says, this is somewhat of a troubling issue for me, and I'm not exactly sure how to address it. Your opinions and ideals have always been aligned with my own, so I wish to hear your opinion on this concern about the Libertarian Party platform and minorities. And the link then goes over to an article on rare.us. The article, written by Jonathan Banks, begins, libertarians tend to think of freedom as either a means to an end of maximum utility. For example, free markets produce the most wealth, or in a more philosophical sense, in opposition to arbitrary authority. Who are you to tell me what to do? And I would say that the author here begins on sort of a fallacy, and not really a fallacy so much as a connotation that libertarians are opposed to things, and certainly we are, but we're opposed to things because we stand for something. And as I said, we libertarians believe that every human being has the same equal rights, that no one has the right to force you to do anything against your will, and that no one has the right to take your stuff for whatever reason. So his statement here of opposition to arbitrary authority, no, it's not necessarily an opposition to arbitrary authority. It's an opposition to people claiming authority over us without our consent. The example he gives, who are you to tell me what to do, is who are you to think you can tell me what to do? What gives you the legitimate right to tell me what I must or must not do for my own protection and my own safety? What gives you the right to think that you have any claim to the fruits of my labor? What gives you the right, Mr. Blanks? He continues, both views fuel good arguments for less government and more personal autonomy, yet neither separately nor both taken together address the impediments to freedom that have plagued the United States since its founding. He then writes, many of the oppressions America has foisted upon its citizens, particularly its black citizens, indeed came from government actors and agents. Okay, so where's the problem here? You admit, Mr. Blanks, that it's government that is the problem. Yet somehow I'm guessing you're going to somewhere in here say that government is the solution to the government-created problems. I don't know, maybe, but we'll continue. He says a large number of offenses, from petty indignities to incidents of unspeakable violence, have been perpetrated by private individuals or by governments with full approval of its white citizens. And, well, yeah, there have been some horrible things that have happened. But again, government-created problems will never give a solution. There's more. Stay tuned to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
I endorse Darryl W. Perry. There is no other candidate who matches Darryl when it comes to representing what the Libertarian Party stands for.
Perry's principle will get the message of freedom and true libertarianism out there further than it has ever been in quite some time. My official endorsement has to go to Darryl W. Perry as the most principled candidate in this race, hands down.
Learn more about the campaign at darrellwperry.com. I'm Darryl W. Perry, and I approve this message.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com. That's getcell411.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
I'll continue with this fallacious article and attempt at rebuttal here momentarily. But first, I want to make sure I tell you about Roberts and Roberts Brokerage. For nearly 40 years, since 1977, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit them online at rrbi.co. The article here continues where Jonathan Blanks from rare.us says, I would venture that many, if not most, libertarians, like the general American public, have not come to terms with the widespread systemic subversion of markets and democracy American racism wreaked on its most marginalized citizens. Consequently, libertarians have concentrated rather myopically on government reform as the sole function of libertarian social critique, without taking full reckoning of what markets have failed to correct throughout American history. And the reason, Mr. Blanks, that markets have, as you say, failed to correct some of these problems throughout history is because we do not have a free market. We have a highly regulated market. We have a market that tells people that wish to braid hair that they must go get a beautician's license, where when they go through beauty school, they do not learn anything about, yeah, that's right, hair braiding. So you tell me, Mr. Blanks, how it is that government-created problems can somehow be solved by government. What we need to do is get the government out of the way. We need to remove licensing laws. We need to remove the business permit laws that force people who wish to buy and sell goods, in most cases, to go pay a hefty fee to some government agent somewhere for the right to be involved in commerce. Again, I was in Las Vegas recently, and I met up with a listener to Free Talk Live, and he was telling me that some of the street vendors in Las Vegas, they'll walk around with coolers full of bottled water, sell them on the street for $1 a bottle. You go into one of the casinos, you're paying $4 for a bottle of water. You go into one of the convenience stores, you're paying, $2, $3, or $4 for a bottle of water. These guys selling them out of coolers on the street, $1 a bottle. He said generally, if they don't wind up getting harassed by the police first, after they sell $100 worth of water, they'll go home because they've made their day's wage. So, some of these guys, he said, they're only out for maybe 2, 3, 4 hours before they sell all of their water, then they leave. Because if they hang around, cops will show up, harass them. Cops might even take their water supply. Who knows? So it's governments that are keeping people poor by requiring business licenses, costly business licenses. I was talking to my Uber driver on Sunday night, and she told me she's only been an Uber driver for about 3 days. The city, or the county, I'm not sure exactly which, but some government agency has said that in order to drive for Uber, she doesn't have to go through a special background check like in some places. She doesn't have to get her fingerprints done, but they say, you're in business for yourself. You need a business license. That business license is somewhere between $200 to $250. But here's the thing. Someone else told me that they started going through the process, but the forms are so convoluted that they couldn't figure out what kind of license they needed. They didn't know if they were a sole proprietorship, if they were a partnership, if they were a subcontractor, if they were an LLC, if they were a corporation. Like, they knew they weren't an LLC or a corporation, but they didn't know which part of the license that they needed. They did not know what kind of license they needed, so they just gave up, didn't go through the process. And they'll risk the $200 to $500 fine that comes with operating a business without a permit. So what we have, again, is government creating barriers to entry for people that might be less well off. And you could say that, somewhere near a majority, definitely a plurality, according to some of the less well off, tend to be minorities, but there's a lot of poor white people as well, and they are just as economically disadvantaged as the quote-unquote minorities. But again, the smallest minority is the individual. We need to stop thinking about people in groups and collectives. Because again, the smallest minority is the individual. If you took everybody and you cut them consensually, of course, and you mixed all of the blood together, you would not be able to tell the rich blood from the poor blood. You would not be able to tell the blood of a white-skinned person from the blood of a black person. You would not be able to tell the blood of somebody from the Middle East from the blood of someone from China or Southeast Asia. Because we're all human beings. We all have the same rights. And when people start doing this weird group think, they then sort of dehumanize, whether intentionally or unintentionally, they dehumanize people and start thinking, well, you need special protections. No, we are all human beings. We all need the same protections, and that is that we should be left to do as we see fit as long as we do not cause unjust harm to another person. There's a little bit more in this article. Actually, there's a lot more in this article. I'll cover a little bit of it here in the closing moments of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Why do they hate us? Is libertarianism compatible with Islam? Davi Barker answers these questions and more in Voluntary Islam and Other Essays. He advances the voluntarist cause with analysis of the confluence of values between Islam and libertarianism, as well as contemporary movements from the Tea Party to the Arab Spring. Voluntary Islam by Davi Barker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Hey, so we're in the closing moments here of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. There is a lot more left in this article, but I will try to get through what I can and respond to what I can, and as always, the link will be in the show notes. The author here, Mr. Blanks, says, take, for example, the common libertarian conservative trope. We believe in equal opportunity, not equal outcomes. Most people outside of the few and most ardent socialists should believe that is a fair statement. But to say such a thing as a general defense of the status quo assumes that the current American system offers roughly equal opportunity just because Jim Crow is dead. And this is where he is most wrong. Libertarians are not offering a defense of the status quo. We're saying we need to change the status quo, but we need to change it towards the role of freedom, not more government. Government is the problem. Government creates the situations to where people are economically disadvantaged, to where you have people going to jail for attempting to braid hair because they did not go to beautician school where they would not have learned about braiding hair. You have people going to jail for daring to try to operate a business without a permit because the permit is so costly that they would never be able to start their business. No, Mr. Blanks, I'm not defending the status quo. I'm advocating for change, but I'm advocating for change towards the ideas of liberty. You, sir, are the one advocating for status quo, to where government continues to make problems worse. He continues, think of the phrase, don't go there, it's a bad neighborhood. Now, sometimes the neighborhood's just a little run down. Doesn't have the best houses, doesn't have the best shopping nearby, or feeds a mediocre school. But more often, that neighborhood is very poor, lacks decent public infrastructure, suffers from high unemployment, has the worst schools, and is prone to gang or other violence. Again, because of government. Government is the problem. Government is keeping people from creating businesses in those neighborhoods because government says, no, you have to pay people these certain wages, whether the people have the skill for that or not. I was talking to somebody recently who said that he went to school for several years to become a airline mechanic. Starting wage, $13. But now you've got people saying that they deserve $15 an hour to flip a hamburger at some fast food restaurant. Think about that for a second. Airline mechanic makes $13 an hour. Burger flipper demands $15 an hour. That is wrong, and that is government creating problems, not solutions. Don't forget, every Wednesday I answer your questions. Send those over ama@fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copyheart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas, which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.